Hello, this is the AB Youth Media Debate. Today we have Ariana and Evan as the Justice League and Adam and Eric as the Avengers. We're going to be arguing three topics, and I'm going to flip a coin for who goes first. Justice League can call it.
Heads.
And it was heads. So, our first topic is Marvel versus DC. The Justice League will be arguing for DC, and the Avengers will be arguing for Marvel. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds to state your argument, and then they'll go, and then, yeah. Okay, start.
So we believe that DC is better in the sense that it's more influential than Marvel because DC started first. Superman was the first superhero, and a lot of things that not just Marvel but other companies have done is based off of a lot of things that DC had already done, like Superman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, that sort of thing.
A lot of characters from Marvel are actually Marvel biting off of DC's characters, such as Thanos is basically Darkseid.
Flash and Quicksilver.
Yeah, and just in general. We also think the influence ranges from not just like Marvel, like even Image Comics and like Dark Horse Comics. They're all kind of it all stems from DC, and I don't think comics and just movies and TV shows would be here if it wasn't for DC.
DC has had a very big impact on culture nowadays, and it has in the past too. A lot of people have bought the comics, watched the movies, watched the shows. Like there are even songs written about them. So.
Yeah, and admittedly, the movies haven't been great, but the animated movies, the TV shows that they're coming out with, the recent comics have just been amazing. And when someone thinks superhero, they don't think of like Quicksilver or like Iron Man. I'm pretty sure the first thing that'll pop in their head is Superman.
All right, you guys are out of time. 1 second. I'll...
Technical difficulties.
I broke it.
You know what, can we just leave this in?
Yeah,
Just keep this in, guys. All right.
Alrighty then.
And now the
After
Avengers
that.
will go.
All right.
All right. You may start now.
Now, obviously, we're not allowed to respond to you yet, but I can say that Marvel is, though it may be young, it's the fastest growing comic business compared to DC and the movie business, actually. In the MCU, it started about, 10-ish years ago, whereas DC literally just started, 3 years ago. And compared to profits with Marvel and DC, Marvel is way, way higher than DC.
Yeah, I would say Marvel because they're a lot more financially successful, and even not just from movies, but looking at other forms too. Even more recently, if you look at notable comics from Marvel that had a profound impact, you would say Secret War and Infinity Gauntlet, as those impacted a lot, such as Secret War did for increasing the sales of many action figures and brought those to be very popular for Marvel. But also you can look to see is that they're ahead of DC right now in movies, and even TV is what it seems like, with there being about more shows. So I would say that while DC did start first, Marvel has definitely caught up and surpassed them.
Yes, I agree with Adam. The Marvel business is way much faster than the DC business, and because of this, that's why we think Marvel is better than DC.
Already, and you're just about out of time.
Don't break it again.
We know how to turn it off this time, right?
Can you try your thumb?
We're leaving this in.
All right. So now each side will have 1 minute to rebut to the other side. Rebut sounds really weird. The Justice League goes first. You can start now.
Well, that's certainly true in the sense that Marvel has been growing faster than DC. I mean, granted, DC has been around for a while. If I'm correct, since the 30s. I'm probably wrong, but DC has certainly been around for a while. But yes, Marvel has grown, but DC has a lot more material that they've already created to begin with.
And a lot of the characters in DC are so much more in depth than like any characters in Marvel, and like I think a lot of like the essence of like DC characters is so much more interesting because in DC, it's gods trying to be human, like Superman and Aquaman. They're
Trying
all,
to control their powers so
yeah,
they
they're
don't
all
destroy
trying to
everything.
fit in and like act like everybody else, but they just can't seem to do that, obviously.
There's a lot more of their secret identities. Like we see Bruce Wayne as well as Batman. Like
As opposed
we
to,
see
like-
both of their lives on
yeah.
the pages.
As opposed to Marvel, they're all humans trying to be gods.
Alrighty, you're out of time. All right, now the Avengers have 1 minute to rebut to the Justice League. You may also rebut to their rebuttal. Your time starts now.
Okay, let me tell you this. Where do you guys live? An old Victorian house or a new modern house created about 10 years ago?
You can
Chances
answer.
are you lived in the modern house, even though the Victorian house has 10 times the style and the quality, but it's because it's old and it's not new and it's not up with the trend.
And I guess to combat DC on something is that they haven't used their characters as effectively as Marvel in the terms of bringing them to the mainstream. Like, there are a lot of well-written DC characters, but they don't seem to be as known and as popularized. Like, Shazam, for example, is a classic character, but he hasn't been utilized for so long, while even lesser Marvel characters that were minor, even in the comics, are still kind of popular and known now, whether it be Quicksilver or Jubilee or characters like that.
Yeah, and it's not about like which character.
Oh, 1 minute's kind of short. Anyways. Now you guys get 2 minutes of free-for-all. I'm going to regret this. Both of your times start now.
DC has so much more like influential comics than Marvel ever will or ever has. Like The Killing Joke, the Long Halloween, and like so many more. Like with Marvel, I can only think of the Infinity War. Secret Wars wasn't that good personally, and the newer one. And you see, I don't even remember it.
Like Marvel's just
You named 2 Marvel comics, but you only named 1 DC
I
comic.
named 2, the
You named
Long
2.
Halloween.
2 for each, but
Yeah,
that
I know,
doesn't
but I'm
prove
just saying they're
anything.
not the Marvel ones are not as popular and more as what's it called
But what
influential.
How
Well-
is it influential? What do you mean
The
by
art
influential?
style in
Well,
it, the writing,
let
the
me
story.
let me add to
writing
that.
is-
Marvel has primarily been focusing on what superheroes will do with one another. Civil War was just like, what if we throw a bunch of superheroes at each other? Infinity War will be what happens if we make superheroes fight against a giant villain.
But isn't that the same thing as
DC is more
Making-
primarily focusing on the
Let the Avengers
psychology of the
talk a little bit.
characters.
You've kind of been cutting
like,
them off.
Isn't that
Well,
the
I would-
same exact thing as DC making a god trying to become a man, or a man trying to become a god, like Batman and Superman? It's the same thing. If you put them in that situation where Batman wants to be,
But like the
better than
villains inside,
Superman.
Yeah,
it,
but-
it all delves into psychology and like
It delves
how
into
like
psychology,
the
but
characters
DC
are
is
acting.
focusing on the
doesn't
psychology, such as the
inspire-
insanity of
does
the
it-
Joker, the
does
conflict
it
of
actually
Superman.
inspire
Because when you
any
really think about it,
characteristics?
Batman and Joker
Let the
are
Avengers talk.
Well, it doesn't necessarily make it more influential. Like, the Marvel
Yeah.
comics that we've listed had less of an impact on comics, I would say, but they had more of an impact on society, and they were more mainstream. Like, they might have
but
not have
Marvel
changed
would
the art
never
style.
have been there if it wasn't for DC.
If you-
DC
yeah, well,
is
that
more
doesn't-
relatable
Marvel's still
We're not
around.
Why does it
talking
not
in the
about-
sense
matter?
that
we're
like
not
we
talking
get
about which
into the
came first, we're
characters'
talking about
heads.
which is better. And the fact is that if you
Marvel
ask
is-
Superman,
And Marvel
what-
is actually the same,
what
about
does
the same
Superman-
age.
All right,
inspire
you're
you.
out of time, guys.
DC's better.
Yeah, I'll let that stay in.
It's much
Well,
better.
that was
That was interesting.
Something
Now
else.
we'll turn it over to the judges.
Well, both teams did such a great job. They both really raised some awesome points, and I think they just both did a really wonderful job today.
Yo, dog. I think it was good and all, but you could have done a little bit better. You got something to say, Simon Cowell?
Oh, it's a disgrace. My ears are dead right now. Both sides of the argument presented terrible points. I just don't even know what to say. I have to pick the worst loser.
I heartily
There's no
agree.
winner here. Only the worst loser.
I heartily agree. Heartily agree.
You know,
Now,
I
you
think
guys
I-
kind of got to
I
choose a
think
winner.
I'm gonna have to go with the team in support of DC. I think that they raised some
Yeah.
really great points, and you know, I really liked how they brought us back to the beginning, and I really like that. Yeah.
Justice League gets 1 point. They need 1 more to win.
What is happening at this point? I'm lost, dog. Big winner. Okay, I would probably say the moderator.
Thank you so much. I get 1 point.
Okay. Between Marvel and DC, I would have to say Marvel.
All right. Avengers get 1
All right.
point. Tiebreaker is
So it
coming
looks
up.
like I have the tie-breaking vote, and for the worst loser, my vote goes to the DC team because I think they really raised some okay points about how their main superheroes, such as Batman and Superman, are very influential, and the comics have had a great impact on society.
Well,
So
that
do
was
we-
one really supportive guy right there.
So-
But it seems that Arian and Evan, as the Justice League, have won one of the 3
He said you're
debates.
worst loser.
Yeah, it's the worst
Yeah,
loser.
he said
I don't think you
DC
said that
is
right,
the
man.
worst loser.
Did you say that? Did you mean that they won or lost?
Who are you giving the point to?
My point went to DC.
All right.
All right.
Well,
I
then,
mean, your worst point went to DC, so
Yeah,
one to
so
Marvel.
we win.
They were the worst loser, which means they were. Okay, I would like to clarify the worst loser is worse at losing, so that means they were overall better than the better loser.
help me.
Thank you.
Help me. Please help me. Anyways, Arian and Evan, as the Justice League, have won the first debate. They need to win 1 more debate to win the overall competition.